I was born into a wealthy home. I had all the fun things that money could buy, but I was so lonely and sad as a child. This is because I was the only child to my mother. Every night I had a beautiful dream of how it would feel like to have both parents and more younger siblings to play with. But any time I shared this dream with my mother, she became more angry at me and ended up buying me more toys and would say, "Get busy with your toys." My mother was an epitome of beauty. Her skin was edgeless, and through this she ended up becoming a public figure and an influencer. Every morning she gave numerous instructions to my nannies on how to take care of me as she stepped out to hustle. My mother was a woman of class, and one thing she loved was a bottle of perfumes. She had so many in her room, but one strange thing, she could not allow you touch one of her perfumes. She allowed me to play with anything except her one bottle of perfume. One day, she brought me so many toys, and as she was stepping out of my room to go into her room, she slipped down and fell. I then quickly noticed something had fallen down, a special bottle of perfume. I quickly hid it and took it out only when she had stepped out of my room. But before I could do anything with it, it slipped down my hands, fell down and broke. All of a sudden I started having an itchy skin. I could not catch my breath. I was losing my breath. My skin started having scales that I could not understand where they were coming from. My feet felt numb. And the last thing I could remember is that I fell down. The next morning I woke up. I found myself in a confined glass. I could not understand how I could breathe underwater. I shouted, "Mom, where are you?" A hand then reached down into the glass, and it was so old and wrinkled. It then said, "My daughter, you are now married. You broke my beauty potion, and now I must face the consequences of remaining this old, ugly, and wrinkled. As for you, you remain as a beautiful mermaid forever and ever." I could not believe what I had heard, and I started shouting, "Call my mother, you can never be my mother. Call my mother, you can never be my mother." But as days passed by, I got used to it. I started loving my new towel and the melodious voice that I had gained out of being a mermaid. I could sing each night, and I didn't even realize I was singing praises to God. And one day, the glass broke, and I came out walking on my two legs. My mother then approached me when she heard the glass breaking, and as she stepped on the water, she regained back her beautiful, ageless skin. And from that day on, we swore to start worshiping God because He had restored what we had before. Years passed, and my mother and I kept going to church. One day he met a very handsome man, and they fell in love. And from that day onwards, my mother and her newfound lover lived happily ever after. I became a famous worship leader out of the melodious voice that I had gained from my mother's secret portion. Guys, I hope you learned something from my story. Never touch anything you've been wont to. But again, these things may be gifted. They may carry gifts that we may never know. Hope this story inspires you. And if you've loved it, please remember to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Let's meet next time on Tales by Julian.